Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Rollo and Greg Show. We're a new independent podcast focusing on liberty, the benefits of lard over butter, and the inaccuracies of TV and movie swordplay. I'm your host, Greg M. You can find me at NotGregoryM on Twitter. Let's start the show.
Hey.
Hey, Rollo. Welcome.
Hey, how's it going, Greg? So,
I'm really excited.
This is going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
I haven't done the legwork yet to kind of migrate the podcast or everything. So this will be episode 145.
Great.
Yeah, guys, what's up?
Oh, hey. Hey,
Sorry.
Slappy.
What's up? Sorry I'm late. We had a little trouble getting the kids to bed tonight. Is Greg's on?
Yeah, I thought.
Did you not tell him?
I thought you weren't going to make it, Slappy.
What do you mean?
I thought you're like a tester.
No, I'm like 5. I am studying, but it's like 5 minutes. I'm 5 minutes late. I got time.
Okay, so
we're talking. Are we talking guns?
Yeah, we could do that. To save you time, I'll just do the intro stuff. When you jump off.
Okay.
And I'll add that to the beginning. Does that sound okay?
Sure.
Okay. So just want to kind of introduce Greg a little bit and introduce the episode like we normally do.
Yeah. I mean, we're just. Do we have are we going anywhere? We're just talking about guns generally. Do we have something specific here?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking something like not necessarily something about gun rights unless we go that direction, but more like saying, hey, so I don't know why I'm so flustered. So talking like an introduction to guns and everything, and maybe what might be a good. Maybe some of the mechanics of guns, because we all talk about, I mean, most libertarian podcasts, when they talk about guns, it's about, rights and everything. And that's all good. And I like listening to that, but maybe something a little bit more like practical information about guns.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I guess I can talk about that. Hold on. Give me a second. All right. Yeah. So we can talk about guns. I'll start off. I guess I'll talk a little bit about myself.
Sure, yeah. Why don't you introduce yourself a little bit, Greg?
Yeah, so my name's Greg. I have 12 years of shooting experience. I've taken a bunch of classes. I used to shoot in IDPA, which is International Defensive Pistol Association, in the stock service pistol division. I have taken handgun classes, self-defense outside the home classes, basic pistol, basic self-defense. I've done first aid. I've taken a couple of the 2-day rifle and carbine classes. So yeah. I've made a lot of mistakes when it comes to buying guns also, so you guys don't have to. So I'd be glad to give you my opinion on everything, if you will. So we can work through this as a general rule thing, move on to how bullets work, how, all the gun stuff works, and then I can answer any questions you guys have if you want.
Awesome. So let's take it from someone who doesn't really know much about anything. There's handguns, there's rifles, there's shotguns, there's a bunch of stuff.
There's assault rifles.
Yeah.
I love assault rifles.
They are nice.
It's really fun. So I guess the basics, you've seen this all on TV. You've seen it all in movies, is the handguns, the rifles, the shotguns. Unfortunately, on TV, you get a lot of misinformation. So on TV, you'll see that whenever people shoot guns at other people, either they kind of fly back. Have you ever seen that?
Yes.
Yeah. So that kind of ignores one of Newton's laws. I think it's his third, the equal and opposite. When something is acted upon, it only has that much energy. It can only go in one direction or the other. It's acted equally. So when you shoot a gun, that much recoil would kill you as well as the person. So guns really don't. They don't recoil that much, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the misconceptions about firearms. Both of you guys have a little bit of firearm experience, right?
Yeah, a little. Yeah, little.
Very little bit. I've shot a rifle. I've shot a shotgun.
Okay,
that's about it.
That's pretty good. A lot of people, again, get their information from TV. Another thing I've noticed on TV is that every gun's fully automatic. Unfortunately, you can't really buy. You can buy fully automatic rifles, but they have to be made pre-1986. And they're very expensive. I'm talking really crappy ones are $11,000.
Wow, is that just because of like regulation and?
Yeah, I think it was the Hughes Amendment to one of the firearms acts in '86 was that you're not allowed to own any machine gun or any part that makes it a machine gun unless you're a dealer.
What about this bump stock deal?
Right. So the bump stock, they decided to reclassify that as, I believe, a machine gun. The ATF did. They're still going through a lot of court battles. It's a little silly, personally. I don't care what you do. I think it should all be legal, obviously. I don't really like bump stocks, but I certainly don't want them illegal. All they do is they help your finger. You pull the gun forward, and your finger bumps against the trigger, making it faster with the recoil. So the recoil is bumping your trigger.
Does that make you lose some accuracy?
Yeah, typically. I don't think you're as accurate when you're not as accurate firing full auto as you are with a semi-auto shot. Semi-auto is just every time you pull the trigger, a bullet is fired.
Right.
But full auto has its reasons. It's there for suppressing fire, to keep someone's head down so that your buddy can flank the people, shoot them in the side. It's a tactical thing. I wish everyone had access to it, obviously, but we don't live in that world yet.
No, not yet. We'll get there.
We'll get there, right?
So I want to take a step back a little bit when we were talking about, getting hit by a bullet and what that does to you. That we see on TV, you fly back. Can you talk a little bit? Because I think it's important, especially if people want to get into guns, especially for self-defense. And a lot of times when you're carrying a gun for self-defense, you're probably not going to be carrying an AR-15 or something.
Right.
You're probably going to be carrying a handgun. And so can you talk about really the ballistics of starting with a handgun, like a 9mm, and then working your way up with what happens when you get shot by these guns?
You got it.
I learned a lot from you about that.
Yeah, it's a good topic.
It's very important for several reasons. One, I think for if you get hit by one of them, and also if you hit someone.
Correct. So I'll go through a couple of these real quick. So first, I'm going to go through how bullets wound you, how they hurt you, and then I'll go through the different types of bullets and the difference between rifle and handguns, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay. So when you're wounding someone, the whole point of shooting somebody is because you're trying to stop a threat. The idea is that you're trying to save your own life or the life of somebody else. That's the only reason you should ever shoot somebody. That's basically, the non-aggression principle applied, is that you're only shooting someone because you need to stop the threat.
And that includes mean words about your tractors. Or
correct. Sorry, I should have said that the first time.
Yeah.
Or if someone, talks badly about lard, I think that's also appropriate.
I think so.
Right. So there are 3 ways that you can stop a threat. I put it this way. I like to put it this way. It's hydraulic, mechanical, or psychological. By hydraulic, I mean your body has fluids that keep you running. So you have the blood, it's pressurized, and it's going to your brain. When you shoot somebody, usually you aim for the chest. The reason you aim for the chest is because their heart is there, their lungs are there, their spine's there. It's a very important area for you and I to live with. So what I like to say is that when you shoot somebody in the chest, hopefully you're hitting a big vein, a big artery, a heart, and you're leaking that blood out. So you're putting a hole there in order for the blood to drain out from the person's brain. When the blood is gone from their brain, they pass out. Typically, it takes a couple seconds, depending on where you hit, how big the hit is. There are a lot of videos online of people being murdered. So there's a lot of real life, I guess you could say, correlation with this. There are ways to see this if you're into that kind of stuff. I'm not. I don't like it, but I have seen these videos.
Yeah, I have no interest.
It is important, though, to know that it's not like the movies. It's not like TV. If you shoot somebody, they can stay up for a long time if you don't hit them in a vital spot, if they don't bleed out quickly. So that's the hydraulic thing. You got to hit them in a spot that bleeds a lot for it to work. The other aspect, or one of the other aspects, is mechanical. So mechanical means you either hit them in the spine or the brain. You can also hit them in the pelvic girdle or other parts like that. Parts that are essential for you to move. So when you hit somebody in the spine, typically their legs will stop moving and they'll fall to the ground. But their arms might stop moving. They might die. If you hit someone in the head or in the brain, of course, they're also going to die or stop. Again, the idea here is to stop the threat. So shooting them in the spine or the head will certainly do that. They'll stop moving, right? So they're no longer a threat. The pelvic girdle thing's interesting because a lot of times you see people with body armor on TV. There was that LA bank robbery where the guys had a ton of body armor. So if you want to stop someone with body armor, if you don't have a rifle that can punch through the body armor, you have to shoot them in an unarmored spot. That's either their head or their pelvic girdle. So getting shot in that pelvic girdle means they can't usually stand anymore, so they fall to the ground. And there are a lot of really sensitive blood vessels and arteries, I believe, down there as well. So the third is psychological. With psychological, it's really up to the person being shot. So you could stop them with a small bullet, like a 22. You could stop them with a bigger bullet. You could miss them and it could still stop them. That's up to the person being shot at. So it really depends on, I guess, their motivation, their psychological makeup. If you're shooting somebody, they're trying to kill you, maybe you really do need to shoot them a bunch until they stop moving. Sometimes you just need to shoot them once and they give up. There are plenty of videos online of people being shot, in response to a robbery, and they just give up. So that's probably a good way to stop somebody. You can hope for that, but you can never really plan for that. You can't just think someone's going to give up because you point a gun at them. It's not realistic.
Sure. Yeah. Is it true? I've heard that people, when they get shot and not, because especially with smaller rounds, you can take, as long as you're not getting hit in one of these spots you just talked about, you can take a lot of shots, right? Because it's just kind of like getting punched with a dowel of same size. Exactly.
So, it's like a really sharp stick or a spear being thrust through you. It's a hot spear, if you will.
Right.
So if it doesn't hit anything vital, you're going to be okay, except for the psychological trauma. I put okay in relative terms. You still might bleed out, but it'll be a lot slower. People have been gut shot and it takes them forever to bleed out. That's actually what happened to the LA bank robber. He was shot in the legs, and it took him a long time to bleed out because the SWAT team did not put any. I don't think they put any tourniquets on him, and they didn't call in medical. So yeah, that's exactly what happens. It's like a dowel rod being pushed through you. So hopefully, if you are shot, it's in a non-vital spot. You don't go into any sort of shock, and then you get to medical treatment pretty quickly.
Right. But I've heard that that there's no real reason other than psychological that when people get shot, like once in one of these not softer, but better places to get hit, that there's like no actual like real reason for them other than psychological, that they fall down.
Right. So that's true with handgun bullets. The difference between rifle and handgun is the speed. And there's a thing called a temporary stretch cavity. So what happens with handgun bullets is they're not going fast enough to make, I guess, a ripple effect in your skin, in your body tissue. It creates some ripple, but not enough to really affect the surrounding area. But with rifles, it really does, especially with a 223 or a 5.56 going almost 3,000 feet per second. When it hits your body, it breaks apart, and it's kind of like a miniature explosion, if you will, of tumbling in the flesh, and that creates a rebound effect, like an elastic effect. And that damage can actually, even if you're hitting a soft part, or I guess you could say a safer part with a rifle bullet, it could still kill you, just because the damage is so severe. It moves things, it displaces things. The shock is pretty tremendous because it's going so fast. It can cause damage to your spleen, your liver, and that's how a lot of people die from the AR-15, if you will. The 223 or the 5.56 is by that temporary stretch cavity.
Right. Yeah, that's it's pretty gnarly. And I guess I should mention to people that it's probably too late now, but
what is this, a trigger warning?
Yeah, no, not trigger, but just we might be talking about some unpleasant things. It's,
this is as bad as it's going to get, honestly.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, I think it's important to understand, especially if you're going to take the responsibility of owning guns. So let's transition into that, unless you had something else you wanted to add.
Well, there are bullet types. I think you've heard about hollow points, right? So a lot of rifle bullets have hollow points. A lot of handguns really do have a lot of hollow points. The reason they have hollow points is because it creates a bigger dowel rod, if you will. So it gets filled with flesh, gets filled with material from like your coat or whatever, and hopefully it expands. When it expands, it creates a bigger, wider bullet. So the reason you want a bigger, wider bullet is because you want to be able to hit those arteries, those veins, that lung, that heart. So you have a slightly, better chance of hitting that. It's not a huge difference. I mean, it is a big difference, but it's not, a tremendously huge difference. You should absolutely carry hollow points. They're not they're not going to immediately kill the guy. You still have to hit him in the right spot to stop them. But they're not the evil things that, for example, New Jersey used to make them out to be. They're certainly not evil. They will help you hopefully stop someone faster. Now, hollow points don't actually, they do penetrate a lot, but they don't penetrate as much as like a full metal jacket, just the typical stuff that you practice with. But all this ammo has been tested to meet like a certain penetration requirement. So I can jump into that if you don't mind real quick.
Yeah. Go for it.
So there's an FBI standard of penetration. There was a shootout in I think it was the 80s. I think it was a Miami-Dade shootout where the FBI tried to stop these guys who had rifles and they were using handguns. So they shot these guys, but the bullets didn't penetrate far enough. They wouldn't go through their arms into their chest far enough to hit a vital point. So a bunch of FBI agents died, I believe. The perpetrators actually did die eventually, but it was not an easy fight. So the FBI said, hey, we need a stronger round that penetrates more. So they decided through all this testing that they needed, I believe it was 14 to 16 inches of penetration in a ballistic gel calibrated block. So they did that, and they came up with a 10 millimeter round. And they said, this is going to be good for us. It penetrates this amount. Even with hollow points, it's going to go this far. They decided on this inch level, this 14 to 16 inches, because if you put your hands out in a firing position, they wanted the bullet to be able to pass through the arm into the chest, and they wanted the bullet to pass through the shoulder into the chest as well. So they wanted a round that is that strong to be able to go through, I guess, intermediate parts to be able to hit the vital zone, which is the heart and the lungs. So they came up with a 10 millimeter. They decided it kicked too much, so they developed, I believe this is how they developed the 40 Smith & Wesson, which is just a shorter 10 millimeter. It recoils a little lighter, but it still penetrates, enough. So that's how they come up with a penetration test. It's still a standard today. So all these ammunition brands, they always test in ballistic gelatin. You see it on YouTube all the time. So you want that amount of penetration out of your bullet. Some 22s don't get that far. That's why you don't want to carry a 22, besides the fact that it doesn't ignite all the time. So there are a couple reasons why you want a gun that is a big enough caliber that penetrates far into the person's body, but also doesn't recoil too much that it ruins your next shot.
Right. So, all right, let's go into a little bit of safety.
Great.
I was actually I wear my safety glasses and the earplugs when I'm
you're
my house. Yeah, I know, but I think it saved my eye the other day.
Did it really? What happened?
I was just mowing the lawn, and I guess I got too close to a vertical something, and a piece of whatever got kicked out of the lawnmower. Must have hit that, and then hit me right in the side where it would have hit me in the side of the eye.
Wow.
But it hit the glasses. And I don't know,
dude,
it might have
nuts.
Yeah, it might have been just like a little piece of a stick that was light and probably would have killed and hurt bad, but might have not knocked out my eye or really caused damage. But if that was a stone or something, but it's stuff like that. It's for the problems that you don't anticipate is why you take a step to be safe with stuff. So
right.
Because no one goes in expecting that they're going to hurt themselves
or that someone's going to make a mistake. Yeah.
Sure. So, yeah, what are some? I think the average person, regardless of how much they've they've handled guns understand some of the things like,
Yeah.
don't walk around with the finger on the trigger.
Right.
So maybe could you go over some stuff that
I'll go over all of them.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect.
So there are a few different safety rules. I think there are 4 really important ones. The first one you mentioned is keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to use it. A lot of the FUDs, a lot of the NRA FUDs, Elmer FUD type people, they always say keep your booger hook off the bang switch. So if that helps you remember it, fine. But that's an important one. The gun can't go off unless you're touching that trigger, unless it's a really old, crappy gun, and you bang on the back of it. So yeah, keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to use it. It's the first one. The second one is never point the gun at anything you aren't willing to destroy. Mm-hmm. So that's also important. Don't point it at your friend. Don't point it at your dog. Don't point it at your TV. All these things are very important. Your gun can't hurt anybody if it's not pointed at anything or anyone important. So you keep it pointed down range when you're at the range. You keep it pointed at the floor, anywhere that the bullet can't penetrate. That's the important second rule. So the third rule is know your target and what's behind it. So you want to identify your target anytime you're shooting a gun. You also want to know what's behind it, because you're not perfect. I'm not perfect. No one's a perfect shot all the time. So if you miss, you're responsible for that bullet every time. And that bullet will keep moving for a very long time. It doesn't just stop at 25 yards. It keeps going for a while. And it stays lethal for a very long time as well. So that's why you need to know your target and what's behind it. Also, you can shoot somebody and it goes through them if it's a thin part of their body. It can deflect off of things. Bullets do crazy things. The Kennedy assassination, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the important third rule. The fourth one is always treat the gun like it's loaded. The reason we do that is because it might be. I'm sure you've forgotten your keys, right? You just make mistakes all the time. I've done that. I've forgotten something. I've forgotten my credit card when I go to pay for something, and the same thing can happen with a gun. The problem or the difference is with a gun, it's completely lethal, and you never want to make that mistake because you don't get to take it back.
Right.
You can always get a new credit card. You can always go back and pay for something. You can always find a way into your house, but you can't bring back somebody if you accidentally shoot them. So that's why we always treat the gun like it's always loaded.
Hear that, Dick Cheney?
Yeah, exactly. I think that was on purpose.
Yeah, I don't know that. Yeah,
that's pretty.
That was
not
been the
bad
best example.
Yeah. Well, we'll try not to emulate him in the future.
Yes, in anything at all.
Right. So now I think it's also important when you mention safety that when you're carrying concealed, you also don't want to get into altercations that you don't need to be in. You don't want to brandish your gun and act tough. You want to have, I guess it's called situational awareness, and you want to have layers of defense like an onion. That's one of the ways I was taught. You never just rely on your gun as a primary means of defending yourself or the people around you. You want to rely on your eyes, your ears. You want to know where the doors are. You want to know the difference between cover and concealment. So you want to know where you can hide, where you can run, where you can get a good shot at somebody. You want to know if some guy's acting weird before he does something, if he's being fidgety. These are all things that can protect your life instead of you pulling a gun and having to deal with the repercussions of morally, taking someone's life, or the actions of, trying to deal with, I guess, the law, going through the court system if you get caught, all these fun things that even if you're innocent and you were completely right, can ruin your life for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so many parallels between so many things. Like where I work, we have the layers of protection. We use this kind of the Swiss cheese.
Yep. I love that. I love your Swiss cheese analogy.
Yeah,
not just because I love cheese, but because it was a great analogy.
Yes. Yeah. So the idea, for those that don't know that, is you have slices of Swiss cheese that are kind of backed up against each other, and imagine something kind of trying to go through the slices of cheese. And the more layers of cheese you have, Swiss cheese has holes in them of various sizes, and you try to pass something through it. It may go through the first couple slices, but chances are it's going to hit a wall. It's going to hit the cheese, not find a hole. So you want to Yeah, you want to layer up as much as you can. So to tack on to what you were saying,
right?
It's important to just like not try to get yourself in bad situations.
Yes. I agree with you 100%.
Like, be careful with who you're hanging out with, places you're going. It could be very beneficial because you want to make sure. I mean, you just want to nip stuff in the bud because once the guns are drawn and bullets are flying, it's
like we said earlier, you can't take it back, right?
Right, and even just for your, not even assuming that you're going to get the other guy, even the bad guy. I mean, there's a good chance that you're going to get shot and maybe killed too. So,
yep, and you don't want that, certainly.
Yeah. So, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's actually interesting. I just got in an Instagram argument. I always say that I'm not going to argue with people on Instagram, and then I end up, arguing with everybody on there. Someone today just said that they brandish their gun a lot when they're because they live in a bad neighborhood, and it helps get people off their back. And I think he was lying because that's not realistic. Right. I used to work as a peer counselor in one of the, I think it was the top murder capitals of the world, just per capita. So I had interactions with people who did not like me there. They didn't want me there, even though I was working in a library, helping kids read. But they didn't like me there. So I had situations where I had to. It was potentially violent. I'm not being, wasn't being a bitch about it. It really could have been violent.
Sure.
But what I did was I carried a gun. I always carry 2 guns on me, a backup and my regular Glock 19. So I have for years now. It's been, like I said, I think it's been 12 years now. So I was always prepared to do violence if I needed to, but I never wanted to. So what I did do was I used to read a lot about self-defense from a guy named Mark Animal McYoung. And his guides are really important to me in the sense that he said you have to fight yourself the most when it comes to these kind of situations. The reason being, your lizard brain is going to say, you have to be tough. You have to look cool. Don't look like a bitch to these people. And that is the wrong answer. You don't want to look weak. That's true. But you don't want to threaten them because that doesn't help. All you're doing is escalating the situation. I would never have shown that I had a gun. Now they know I have a gun. So when I turn my back, they could shoot me. They can wait for me the next day and I can't defend against an ambush. So what I did do was I would cross the street. Yes, I look like a bitch. That's fine. And it didn't feel good to do these things. I did say, hey, sorry guys, I'm just walking through, please ignore me or stay back. I just want to go home, stuff like that. You don't look cool. You don't look tough and it doesn't feel good, but it does keep you alive and it doesn't escalate the situation. You want them to think they've won, even if it makes you feel bad. And the truth is you've won. You've gone home. You get to eat your Chipwich, your ice cream sandwich, whatever you want, So I think that's also important when it comes to defense and safety is that you got to look out for yourself and your lizard brain because especially in men, I think it can really trick you into doing something really stupid, just like I saw on Instagram today. So
yeah. Yeah, we do have that, testosterone kicks in.
Yeah, it's terrible, isn't it?
Yeah. Us and our, testosterone boiling.
Yeah, you want to wrestle later?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, you know what? You know who couldn't take this testosterone was Slappy because he ended up jumping off. Must be all the butter that he eats.
I think it is the butter. Did you know that lard actually contains no trans fats and is higher in monosaturated fat than butter?
Yeah, lard's got a bad rap. It's probably because of stupid communists, but yeah, lard's. It's funny because whenever you bring up lard, people like kind of laugh at you, like, "Oh, it's so unhealthy," and it's like, is it though? Is it?
Yeah, right. Exactly. I was really bummed out when Slappy showed up.
So was I. I don't know how that happened.
I think there was a communication breakdown because he's not on this show anymore.
Yeah, well, when I send out the link, I don't know if it just like kind of auto sent it to him because I've done it 144 times before this, so I don't know. I'll figure something out to make sure that doesn't happen again.
That's good.
Yeah, that'll be the last time.
Good.
He's on here. So I can also just like deactivate his ability to post on the website.
I'm a big fan of when you mute him as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I'll have to mute him on Twitter too. I don't want him to block him outright because then I want him to think, still having in his head. So moving on, because I don't even want to waste my breath talking about
Sure,
him.
yeah, let's not talk about that jerk.
He's a butter boy. Who cares about butter boy? So do you want to talk about, so I think we kind of mentioned it earlier. There's different guns for different situations. So you want to run through a couple of situations that the average person might want to consider and what guns they want to consider for that?
Great. This is a topic I'm really invested in. So I spent a lot of money, like I said earlier, buying these guns, trying them out, testing them, carrying them. I spent a lot of money on classes where people shoot these guns, so I've seen a lot when it comes to this topic. I've shot a lot. So I think when it comes down to it, the best guns to have are a regular old semi-auto rifle with a big magazine, 30 rounds, and a handgun with a big magazine, preferably a 9mm. I like 9. You may be a 45 guy, maybe a 40 guy. But to me, a 9mm is probably the best. It's easily concealable. It holds somewhere up to 15 rounds usually, and you can keep it on your body. The reason I don't carry a rifle is because everyone will look at you weird. It's very uncomfortable and heavy after a certain period of time. And you just, you can't walk through doors. You can't sit down. It's just a pain in the ass. With a handgun, I can just keep it on my waist, in my waist, wherever, in my pocket, theoretically. So you can keep it and take it everywhere. That's why people use handguns. Not because they're the greatest man stoppers. They're not. But because you can conceal them and take them everywhere. I have like I said earlier, a Glock 19, and that's a 9mm Glock that carries 15 rounds standard. I like having 15 rounds because, like we mentioned earlier, people are moving when you're trying to hit them. They're trying to kill you. You might not have the greatest accuracy. You might not be able to use your sights properly. So I like having the extra rounds in there. I also carry a spare magazine just in case. I don't think I'll need it, but if I do, I'd rather have it than not, and it doesn't weigh that much. So I can just throw it in my left pocket or, in a little holster, and it's fine.
Or your fanny pack.
Or my fanny pack when I go to the gym. I keep my snacks and my Glock in there. Yep. Got a carb load. So that's why I carry the handgun, is because it's socially acceptable, well, more so than carrying a rifle. Plus, no one ever knows I have it. Last time we met, did you know I had it?
No, you're pulling out like.
Well, I wasn't pulling it out. Let's be fair.
No, you weren't. No.
Right. So I did show that I had it.
I meant once we were talking about it, and it was appropriate to bring it out.
Hey guys, look
you were more well armed than I would have imagined.
Right. So at that event, I had a single action 22 Magnum in my pocket from North American Arms. I like it though. I like a single action just because I used to shoot a lot of single action, so it doesn't bother me. I can use it one handed. I could cock it off my body. It's got 5 shots of 22 Magnum out of I think it's a 2-inch or 2.5-inch barrel. It's a long one, but it fits in my pocket really well. That's my little backup gun. I don't expect to use it. I don't want to use it because it kind of sucks, but I like having it in my pocket better than any of the other smaller semi-autos. It's just what I'm used to. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody who's new. But, if that's all you can carry, it's better than a sharp stick, as people like to say. It's, it's 5 dowel rod holes in your body. So, but I had that in my pocket as well as my Glock 19 in my waistband. And then I had the spare magazine. So I believe I had 31 shots plus the 5 in my other pocket. So, that's a good start. I don't expect to use it. I don't hope to ever need more than a couple shots. I actually don't think I'll ever need it ever. If I'm smart and I'm lucky, I won't ever need it. Our violent crime rate isn't that high, but I'd rather have it, and not need it than need it and not have it, as everyone says.
Absolutely.
So, and it's not that heavy. It's pretty comfortable. I'm so used to it now after all these years that I don't even notice it. I can sit down with it. And again, no one really sees it. I'm not a huge guy. I'm, 6 foot, 210 pounds, but it fits on my waist. You don't really see it. As you said, you had no idea. And I think that's a typical armament level for people who carry concealed. At least people I know, they carry about that amount on them. So I think it's pretty normal.
Gotcha.
So what was next? We wanted to talk about rifles, right?
Yeah, maybe something for like home defense.
Right. So a lot of people say, hey, let's get a shotgun for home defense, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's an okay choice. I wouldn't ever want to fight against a shotgun. My only problem with shotguns is that a lot of times they're pump, so that pump takes a short bit for the next shot. My bigger issue is that you only have maybe 5 to 7 shots in the tube ready to go. That is a lot. That can kill 5 to 7 people, maybe more if you get lucky and wing the guy behind him. But it's not really for me. I like having one of my ARs in 5.56. I like having that as a home defense weapon or as a general purpose weapon. You can reach out and touch someone 500 yards, no problem, if your sights are sighted in properly. And there's nowhere in my area that I wouldn't need to reach out, more than 500 yards. So I'm pretty confident with having that weapon. But for home defense, I really like the AR in 5.56 because you have 30 shots without having to grab another magazine, throw it in your pocket or whatever. So you can take on a multitude of people. You can post up behind somewhere safe in your house and wait for them to come to you, make it a fatal funnel, and you have the drop on these people. You have cover for your body, and you have enough shots to take out whoever wants to come and get you. Hopefully it's not a SWAT team. If it is, go for that pelvic girdle, as we said earlier, or their face. But if it's not the SWAT team, you should be good with just those 30 shots, hopefully. If not, it doesn't hurt to have spare magazines all over your house, like mine. It doesn't hurt to have body armor as well. We can get into that later.
Sure.
But I really like the AR because I've seen videos of people working in pairs, up to 3 people breaking into houses. There was a guy recently who shot his AK, which also has 30 rounds. It's just a different caliber, at a lot of people who are breaking into his house. He got them all to run away. There was an event where I think 3 people broke into this guy's house and he shot them all with the AR-15 and killed them all because they were breaking in. And there were multiple of them. Usually, I believe I think they're just drug users looking to get money. So it's another, pro-legalization or no laws against drug use argument, right?
Absolutely.
So, but besides that's I think the main reason I like the 5.56 instead of a shotgun for home defense is because you can follow up shooting easier. You have more rounds, and I'm not worried about over penetration with a 5.56 because when it hits the side of your house, it shouldn't go through it. If it was a 308, which is a really big round, I would be more worried about penetration. You might be shooting into your neighbor's house, and you don't want that. So again, it's that rule. Know what's behind you. If you're shooting down your stairway, that's probably the best. You're going to be hitting your floor if you miss. So.
Yeah, because I know in my own head I would have thought that, hey, just get the biggest, baddest gun you can in your house and
sure.
And hunker down and go at them, but you don't want to shoot your neighbor.
Right, because it does happen. You see it all the time. Gang violence. Some little girl gets shot in the head because she's doing her makeup in her mirror, because it went through the wall or it went through the window, and you need to be more careful than that.
Right.
So that's why it's smart to look through your house at the layout and figure out what the best places to be are. And it goes back again to the layers of defense argument. You don't want to be scrambling for your gun in the middle of the night because someone kicked down your flimsy door. You want to have good door locks. You want to have an alarm system, another door inside your house that people have to get through. You want to make it as hard as possible for people to get to you.
Sure.
Yeah. So again, like you said about the bigger round, it is very attractive, especially when you're new, to be like, yeah, man, 45. I carry a 45 because I can't carry a 46. And, it sounds good until you fire the gun and it kicks a little more than you want. And it only has 8 rounds or 9 rounds. Oh, and yeah, it jams a lot. And it's really ammo dependent. And you have to pick the right ammo. And you're like, oh, man, screw this. And let's go back to something different. I did spend a lot of my shooting career shooting a 40, and I wish going back that I had just shot a 9mm, just because 9mm is cheaper. It still does the job, and it holds more rounds. So,
what was the 40? A Miller or like a?
It's a 40 Smith & Wesson. So I carried a Glock.
Sorry, that was a bad joke.
That was a terrible joke. No, you know what? I just got it halfway through. And I was staring into the space like, wow, what an asshole I am. I was like, what the hell's a Miller? What a douche I am.
Yeah, that's great.
That's really funny. But yeah, so I carried a 40, and I liked it because I could practice with the same weight ammo that I carried with, but it wasn't worth it. Now that they have so many ammo choices, I just carry 147 grain hollow points, and I practice with 147 grain FMJs now with my Glock.
Gotcha.
19. Yeah, it's I don't think you can go wrong with the Glock. Actually, I'd like to talk about manufacturers if you don't mind.
Sure, go for it.
So I ran into, I did a bunch of pistol classes. I helped teach some as an assistant, and then I have shot in a bunch. I have noticed that a bunch of Springfield XDs have been breaking in my classes. And so I don't want anyone to ever pick one up until they really fix their quality control. I have seen zero problems with Glocks that weren't like user problems. They messed something up on their end. And I've seen no problems with the Smith & Wesson M&P series. So if people want to pick up a full-size handgun, I would recommend Glocks first and foremost. I know I sound like a fanboy, but I've really had no problem shooting thousands of rounds through mine. Then the Smith & Wesson's really good. And then if you're going to go bottom of the barrel, not really bottom of the barrel, they're still very good guns, but Ruger is also really good. You could also get a revolver, I guess, but revolvers only carry between 5 and 8 shots, and I would really feel more comfortable with people carrying a standard semi-automatic gun instead of going with a revolver. Revolvers have very heavy trigger pulls, so your gun sight might be wavering back and forth to the left and right unless you're really practiced with it. Hey, if that's your thing, look, do what you want. I don't care, but I would much rather people have a regular semi-auto with like a 4.5 pound trigger or a 5.5 pound trigger. Something that's very simple. It's the same every time, and you have a lot of shots.
Yeah. Awesome.
And I could talk about rifles as well if you don't mind me monopolizing all the time.
That's why you're here.
All right. So
actually, you're here to be the co-host. So,
well, yeah, for the future, right?
For now.
Okay.
Now is the future.
You're right. The future is now, old man.
Yes.
So I used to have a couple AKs. They were all Zestavas, and I really liked them. The problem with them is that one of the ranges I went to was kind of a FUD range, and it wouldn't let you shoot some of the heavier stuff. So I got into ARs a while ago, and I learned by building a couple ones which ones worked, and by speaking with people online and going to classes. I've had really good results with these that I'm going to mention. It doesn't mean that they're always perfect. No one's perfect. No organization will ever have a perfect quality control, as you know. Mm-hmm. But they will be better than others. So I've had good luck with them. We're going to start with the cheapest ones. PSA, Palmetto State Armory. They have some pretty good stuff for the price range. They also have good uppers, which is the upper part where the barrel and the gas block and the bolt control group, they all are. They have really good stuff for the price range. So you can get an FN, which is, I believe, FN Herschel. I don't know how you say it, but they're good barrels. I think they're chrome lined, so they'll last a while. They're pretty accurate. I've had really good accuracy with my PSA. I had a 20-inch PSA upper that I was getting really good accuracy out of. And I have a couple PSA lowers that are and have always been pretty phenomenal. They have different parts on the inside. They're not all PSA, but I've had good luck with PSA parts as well. They might not have the best triggers, so you might have to get an upgraded trigger, but they're good for a budget. I can get a good AR-15 for, I think, under 500 that way, unless you make your own in your basement.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone like that. They're cool guys, though.
Yeah, probably.
So the next step up, I think, the ones I really like, because again, I shoot a lot, so I don't have a lot of extra money to spend. So I want something reliable that isn't like crazy good name brand, but it's reliable enough to get me where I want to go, so I can still shoot all the ammo I need to feel comfortable with my skill level if I ever need to use it. That would be Arrow and BCM. BCM stands for Bravo Company. Arrow is just Arrow Precision. AERO. They've had, and they do make really good stuff. You can buy it piecemeal, so you can buy a lower, an upper, a bolt. You can buy, even a barrel. I believe Arrow owns Ballistic Advantage, which is a barrel company. So they have good barrels stock with it without you having to upgrade. I don't know the laws of every state. I do know the laws where I live, which is Pennsylvania. To get a gun to you, a rifle, you can either buy it from a friend, and there's no background check in PA. You just have to assume the person's not a criminal, or you have to order it online. Now, ARs, they come a lower and an upper. You can take them apart. There are pins in the middle. The lower is actually the firearm. The upper part is not. So the barrel and where the bolt is, that's not a firearm, apparently. Laws are weird. So the lower is the part that you need a background check for. Again, unless you make your own in your basement. So the lower is something you need to get shipped to your FFL, which is a federal firearm license holder or dealer. So you can order it online and then get it shipped to your local FFL. We'll have to do a background check. It'll cost, who knows, $5 to $40, depending on how much they charge that day. So that's the best way to get stuff online. You can actually buy all this stuff online and get it sent to your FFL, the lowers. You can also go to your dealer and ask for these things, and they'll order it for you. But I haven't found better pricing than ordering direct from either BCM or Arrow or PSA. You can just order them right off the bat and get it sent to your FFL for the lowers. For the uppers, you can just send them right to your house, which is really cool. So you can get different barrel lengths. You can get a different barrel twists, which means how many twists there are every however many inches. That means, we can get really technical, but it means heavier bullets need a certain twist than lighter bullets to be perfectly accurate. It has to do with, I guess, how many times it spins. So yeah, I don't know much about that, so I'll move on. But
yeah, it reminds me of some physics classes I took in high school and college.
Right, it's way above me, way above my pay grade.
It's the spin is what helps give the bullet its lift.
Right, that's why when you shoot a gun, the bullet goes up for a little bit and then starts coming down.
Right.
That's actually how it helps meet your sights, because your sights are above the bore axis, I believe. So that's where I get all my stuff from Arrow and BCM. I mix and match the parts. They all work really well. Just, you got to make sure to follow the instructions. You got to lube it up good, right, buddy?
Oh yeah.
You know all about lube. Sorry. So the last thing, I think, you hear this one all the time. At least I do. They were the backup guns in some of the carbine classes that I took. Smith & Wesson M&P Sport 2. It's a really good budget gun. People have been getting them for, I think, $500, under $600 easy. Depends on where you are in the country, I believe. But the Smith & Wesson M&P Sport 2 is probably one of the best mid-tier guns I've ever seen. Again, there have been guns in the class that I took in PA that have run for a long time. And as long as you clean them and lube them up, it's been really good. They test them beforehand, and they do this magnetic particle inspection and all this crap to make sure it's working. But it's a good budget gun. You don't have to spend $1,200 and feel unsafe. I would never recommend these guns to people unless I thought that it would keep them safe in case they were about to be murdered,
Right. Absolutely.
So if you have any questions, you guys can, listening, can always tweet me and ask me about it, and feel free to ask your friends. This isn't the end all be all. Just don't take anyone's word as gospel until you research it yourself. Even mine, obviously. Go ahead and research it, but you'll see that a lot of people feel the same way I do. There shouldn't be too many bad reviews about these things, and if there is a bad review, it's usually one small part that was out of spec. It's always good to have spares. I keep a couple spare parts for everything pretty much in one of my plate carriers. So,
yeah, that all makes perfect sense. Was there anything else? I mean, that's kind of all the questions I had. Was there anything else you think it's worth covering?
I was going to talk about.
The floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much.
Since we're doing this together as a team now.
Yeah, I would love to talk about two things: body armor and then police. Right. So, do you mind if I talk about body armor first?
Yeah. Then you can talk about how much you like the police.
Right. I love police. Back to blue. Thin blue line. So body armor is a weird thing. I never really thought about body armor until recently. Bulletproof vests used to be very expensive. I didn't know really how they worked. And then I got I interviewed for a job where they tested bulletproof vests in Maryland. It's a very well-known company, actually, when it comes to independent testing that isn't NIJ testing. I forget what NIJ stands for, but it's the standard for testing ballistic vests. They have these certain levels of things. So there I learned all about helmets and soft body armor and hard body armor and all this fun stuff. So I recommend buying body armor for your home. It's impractical to use it anywhere else just because it's big, it's heavy, it's bulky, it looks weird. And if you're wearing it out, I will eye you weird because I don't know why you're wearing, expensive body armor on you in person. It's kind of creepy, right?
Yeah.
So I like to recommend picking up either a set of some cheap AR 500 armor plates that you can put in a plate carrier. You can get them for like $120 front and back. They won't stop all rifle rounds, but they'll stop the common ones from the shorter barrels. You just have to make sure that you buy a thing called spall protection. Spall is what happens when a bullet hits steel. It doesn't just dent it. It sprays in every direction, right? Because that energy has to go somewhere. And if it's not going through, it's going to go to the side. So you have to buy spall protection. What that means is you put this metal thing in a case that's bulletproof against the fragments, or you put a coating on it that contains the fragments from splintering all over.
How deadly is that? I guess if it hits you in the right spot. Yeah.
Right. So the problem is this plate carrier is right below you. It's right below your head and your neck.
Yeah.
So if you're craned over it, like leaning down your rifle, the last thing you want is these fragments that are, I don't know how fast they're flying, but they'll go right through cardboard boxes, right?
Right.
So I'd imagine that you don't want to take that spall in the neck, because even if it doesn't penetrate all the way, now you've got a bunch of bleeding wounds on your neck. The last thing you want to deal with is your neck bleeding, especially because there are two very sensitive, very large arteries or veins there. I don't know which one, but you certainly don't want to take spall to the neck, right?
Right.
So there's a way around that. Is you can either, get the spall protection, get the coat added on, or you buy ceramic body armor. Ceramic body armor is kind of like a porcelain toilet seat, if you will, except it's very specifically designed to stop bullets. The way it does that is by breaking a little bit, and the bullet expends all of its energy breaking this portion, and it spreads out and it cracks in that one little area. The bullet has to expend all of its energy to do that because the ceramic's so hard. Ceramic, if it's expensive, can be light. Regular ceramic that I could afford, that's almost the same cost as the steel that I mentioned earlier, that's pretty heavy. I think it's about 8 pounds a plate, front and back. It's pretty thick as well. It has to be able to absorb all these hits. The good news is you don't have to worry too much about the spall because it's self-contained. The problem with ceramic is that I guess you could break it if you really use it, if you run around with it and do body flops or whatever,
Yeah, how many hits could I guess it depends on the ceramic and the armor,
and where the hits are, because on the edge it's not as strong as in the center, right? So I've seen ceramic plates take 6, 12, 20 hits.
Oh wow.
It's a lot. I mean, if you're getting shot more than once or even once, you need to move.
Right.
So you can also get side plates. Side plates are pretty uncomfortable, especially after a long time of wearing them, and they interfere with, I guess, your bicep meat, if you will, when you're holding your rifle at a certain angle. So I don't wear them. I have soft body armor on the side, which protects against handguns because I don't feel it. It's very thin. It's almost invisible, if you will, but it does stop, anything up to a 44 Magnum. Hopefully, I won't ever need that, but it's good to have. I do like the ceramic plates in the front and in the back. But again, if you do get shot, you want to move. That's why we teach cover and concealment. You want to get behind cover. So something hard, something that'll stop a bullet, like a really thick concrete wall, a really thick tree, not just your wall, because walls are pretty thin. And again, if you get one of those big 308s, it's going to go right through that wall. And there are people out there who are trained to shoot through the wall where they think you are, you know?
Right.
So, and these things aren't too expensive. I think the ceramic I was just looking at earlier was $160 per plate. You know, you can save up for these things. You don't need to buy them all at once, and it's not necessary, but it is a good feeling of comfort, I guess, sometimes.
Yeah. Does the front and back each have, it's just one plate?
One for the front, one for the back.
Right,
yeah.
right.
Okay. So the one in the front's typically curved. You can get both curved, but the one being curved in the front helps with your body shape usually. Sure. Actually, one of the things I've noticed when you put on body armor is you notice how small it is and how much it really doesn't protect you. Like it doesn't really cover your stomach, you know, your important bits below that. So you really notice how vulnerable you are as soon as you put body armor on, which is a little ironic. But then if you think about it, you go, oh, okay, well, here's my heart, here's my lungs. I'm not going to get shot in the chest. If I am, it's going to be from the side. So if you train, you know, with your stuff on, you look like a tactical mall ninja at the range, but you train to present your body armor directly to the threat so that it hits you in the chest instead of hitting you on the side and going through where that gap is, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably not, if you measure the risk reward of trying to cover up the other stuff, what you lose in mobility and
mobility is very important because you want to keep moving unless you're in a really well fortified position in your home and you can't move anywhere. Then it's okay to really, you know, be relying on that or the hard cover. The hard cover that you're behind. But mobility is important in like a real Civil War type, you know, Civil War II situation. Sure. Mobility is very important. Yeah. Because you don't want people to get angles on you. You don't want to be flanked. You want to keep flanking them. So.
Right on. Yeah. You want to talk about the police?
Yeah. So I love the police. Like I said, there are a couple things I wanted to mention about the police. A lot of people I've noticed, I don't know if you've noticed this when you're driving, but you ever see the thin blue line sticker with the flag? And then right next to it, there's the yellow "Don't Tread on Me" sticker.
I was driving down the shore. I think it was last summer. There's a big pickup truck that was lifted, and
yeah, buddy,
it had and the flag on one side of his bed was a huge, you know, "Don't tread on me," Gadsden. The other one was the thin blue line flag. I'm like, man, you are doing it wrong.
They don't realize that these people are going to be the ones who are going to be doing the treading.
Yes.
They always say, you know what? They won't do that. They won't confiscate your guns. You know, they're all gun guys. I will tell you, every police officer I've shot against in like friendly competitions for charities or whatever, the vast majority of them are not good shots. They do not understand guns. They don't care about guns. They do care about their own paycheck, taking care of their family, you know? So they want to keep their job, and they will absolutely enforce these laws. They don't care about you. They're not your friend. If you go up and talk guns to a cop, they don't give a shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just crazy to me that these people think that the police are all your friends when it comes to gun stuff. And gun, it's really ingrained in gun culture. It's very confusing to me.
Yeah, I guess because I used to think that way too. I came from that kind of world.
Well, me too. I mean, when I was 18, right?
Yeah, and I guess you think that, well, I mean, those are the people that are supposed to be, you know, fighting the bad guys. So yeah, I mean, they're even as you start becoming a libertarian, because it's the whole thing with the non-aggression principle is that we're against aggressors and violence. So that the people that are supposedly there to protect society from that, it's kind, I guess it's the natural inclination to think like, oh, well, I mean, they're overall good.
Right.
But then, you know, once you think about it, and I know I don't have to explain it to you.
Right.
You really get into the nuts and bolts of it. And you're like, no, these guys are the stormtroopers.
Yeah. And just because they have guns doesn't mean they like them or know how to use them.
Yeah. It's just they're just doing their job, as they like to say.
Yeah. Nuremberg, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So one of the things I did was I took a class with taught by a lawyer. The idea was, if you're in a self-defense situation, what do you do? This goes back to the point that police aren't your friends. So when they come to you, police are allowed to lie to you. They routinely lie to people. These police will not be your friends. They won't say, hey, are you okay? They might say, hey, are you okay? But the reason they're asking is because they want you to confess. If you confess, it makes their lives a lot easier. They'll make up. They won't make up stuff, but they might actually. But they'll say stuff like, oh, "Why'd you do this? Do you know this guy?" All these crazy things that if you answer them, it may seem like an innocuous answer, but they will bring that up at trial, and you'll get hammered into the ground. You can't say even small things you could say could be brought against you and could bring a guilty verdict for like involuntary manslaughter or murder. Any of these crazy things. So what the lawyer taught us to do, which I agree with, my mother's actually a lawyer, so she agrees with this as well, is that if you're ever in a situation involving self-defense shooting or self-defense anything, and they seem like they're going to arrest you, or even if they don't, you say nothing. You say, I want my lawyer. And you keep repeating that even if they make you uncomfortable, even if they threaten you, just go to the booking area, just go with them, and you have to keep your mouth shut. And it's going to be very, very hard because they know psychology enough to get people to talk. They do it all day, every day. And humans are not good at not talking, especially in an uncomfortable silence.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, that goes for any sort of interaction with the police.
Sure. I apply this to everything.
Yep. Yeah. Even when I'm not in a situation where they're not coming after me, but have to engage me. If I'm walking by them, there's a fine line. There's a line somewhere. You don't want to just be like a jerk and get them interested in interacting with you. But man, I do as best as I can to just not have an interaction. Don't even look at them. Just kind of get out from being anywhere near them. Also, because they bother me.
Right. I mean, it's really good situational awareness to avoid things. Avoidance is the key to everything here. And avoiding police is also a good thing. Avoiding any police interaction or avoiding incriminating yourself, I guess, is the key here.
Sure.
If you have to say something, you can say, I wouldn't recommend saying anything, obviously, but if you have to, you can say, I was about to die.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah.
I think that's literally all you could say is that, I was about to die. He was about to kill me. He was trying to kill me. That's it.
Right.
If you have to say something, say that. But I wouldn't recommend even saying that.
Sure. No, I agree. And again, all these situations, I hope for you and for myself and for all the listeners out there that none of us ever have to experience this stuff. But
yeah,
like I was saying in the beginning, it's if you're going to take even if you don't own a gun or carry a gun, I mean, there's always a chance you're going to be in a situation where stuff can go wrong and you've got to do something that you might not really want to do. So it's important stuff to think about and to kind of run through the scenarios in your head a little bit to make sure that you're not going to be panicking, that just running through it a few times in your head before that you give yourself a better chance.
It doesn't hurt to be prepared.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Did you have anything else?
I think we
covered a lot.
I think we covered a lot. And this is for people who are new to this or who have a little bit of experience. If you have a lot of experience and you have an issue with my point, just bring it up to me. I don't care. I would love to learn as well. I love learning. So again, it's at NotGregoryM on Twitter. So if you want to message me there, go ahead. I would love to talk to you about anything.
Yeah. So that'll be on the show notes page, mcflugel.com/145. So I want to do we do the free market success story. Do you have one? Because if you don't, that's fine.
No, I don't. I just bought some more trauma kit stuff, like a chest seal, but that, that's not very exciting. I'd love to hear yours.
Yeah. So I had a bachelor party this weekend and the beginning of it, we went to.
Congratulations. I didn't know you're getting married.
Okay. Yeah. I was going to make a joke about marrying you, but
I know, right? So was I.
I wasn't quick enough at the draw.
We're pretty terrible.
Yeah. Okay. So neither of our jokes have landed so far.
Right.
It's a friend of mine, not me. I'm not getting married. So went to a Phillies game and I was running a little bit late. And so there are a couple other guys there ready to go in. So I kind of let them know, like, hey, I'm not going to be there in time for the game to start. So, I didn't know what to do, but he said, oh, I can just email you the ticket.
Right.
And so that's what he did. He it got my email address, sent it to me, and then I had to download an app. And then once I downloaded the app, I registered with the email address that he sent it to, so that the app recognized the email address and said, "Oh, you've got a ticket coming to you." So I was able to just walk right up, put my phone underneath the scanner, and go right in. So it's just, yeah, it's a little innovation that makes life a little bit easier, because if they didn't have that, then I guess he could have dropped the tickets off at will call.
But what a pain, right?
Right. Or someone would have had to wait for me outside, and the traffic was pretty gnarly. So who knows how long that was going to take. And then there were other people too that were coming that were even later than me. So it worked out for them too, that they were able to do that transfer. Or otherwise, maybe we have to make arrangements from earlier with getting the tickets to each other. So it's just could have turned into a whole big to-do, but it wasn't, because we have improvements of technology brought to you by the market. Because when something's working, unless there's a profit motive to make it more efficient, to make more money, there's not, like, a central planner or government really doesn't have that much of an incentive to put off consumption,
right,
to save, to try to develop innovation. So
I love it.
Yeah, nice little story. So you plugged your Twitter, and of course we'll put that on the show notes page. I have a couple plugs I want to do. First one being libertymugs.com. We sell libertarian themed mugs. We've got a couple gun mugs up there if you're interested in doing what the theme of this episode was. And I also want to plug 10hoursofbitcoin.com. I know I talk about Bitcoin all the time. It's something that I am a huge fan of, and working with a former guest on the show, JW Weatherman. He's got a site called 10hoursofbitcoin.com where there's basically like 10 different parts to it that you just go down the line, and the total time that you should be committing to this is about 10 hours. So you will get a very, very good knowledge of Bitcoin, from touching on technical stuff, political things, and also the economics of it. So we had a fundraiser a little while ago for to pay Guy Swan, who was another guest on the show kind of recently, for all of the audio versions of a lot of the content that he did. And so we paid him out, and we have a new fundraiser that we're doing now. So we're offering $500, because we believe that reputation tracking is critical to a well-functioning internet. So we will be donating this $500 to reward someone who makes a community website that tracks Bitcoin-related scams and the people that are behind them. So if you want to claim this bounty or have questions about it, go to 10hoursofbitcoin.com, and at the bottom of the page there is a feedback link that brings you to a Twitter page. You can get in touch with some of us who are involved in it, and also there's a donate button down there too to send some money to the fundraiser. So, Greg, did you have any plugs other than your Twitter account that you wanted to give?
That's it.
Okay, great. So, all right.
Thanks. I'll see you next week.
Yeah, next week we're talking about home massages, so that should be a good episode.
Oh, good, we're experts.
We are, so it's going to be a doozy. All right, everyone, thanks for listening, and to the Rollo and Greg show. We'll catch you next week.